I've made statements which are true, that it is rational to fear Islam, given the number of terrorist attacks that have happened. That's not racist rhetoric. Those are just served with 219 Republicans in the Florida House. Only 2 of them are anti-Semites. So it is small, but it is growing. That is the I don't want to end up where the Democrats are. And that's where we will end up if we don't do something about it. So I am not minimizing the problem. They are becoming louder. And if we want to end up like the Democrats, we won't say anything. That's why I've leaned into the fight. When that happened, the president didn't know who he was and who he was eating with. Frankly, back at that time, I'll tell you, I work on this issue every day, and I'd never heard of Nick Fuentes. I systemic, but we are having a fight that the Democrats refused to have a few years ago when anti-Semitism crept into their party and they refused to do anything about it. And look what they have become.
But bragged about having a Nazi streak. Is Tucker the problem, or is this systemic through the Republican Party?
Hello, everybody. Guys, this interview was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Even when they are coming after your own people, these Republicans are such effing cowards. It's all about themselves and their own self-preservation. These people are really vile. Check this out.
I know you actually canceled an event with the Heritage Foundation over their support, those comments we heard earlier. But here's the thing. You had those leaked messages from national young Republican leaders saying, I love Hitler, joking about atrocities. I remember the appointee was at Paul Ingrassia, had to withdraw after his own scandal where he bragged about having a Nazi streak. Is Tucker the problem, or is this systemic through the Republican Party?
Well, no, thanks for having me this morning. It's not systemic, but we are having a fight that the Democrats refused to have a few years ago when anti-Semitism crept into their party and they refused to do anything about it. And look what they have become. What we have is issues in our party. It's a minority, but it's a loud minority, and it is a growing minority. And the question people like me have to face—
Congressman, can I stop you here for a second? Because you have spoken so strongly on this, and honestly, it sounds like you're minimizing it when you say it this way. I mean, obviously, I understand what people have said about Democrats, especially in the light of the attack in Gaza on Israel. But this is so specific. These are the most high-profile voices on the right.
No, I don't want to minimize it because it is a big deal. And Tucker Carlson has a huge platform. He was the dominant conservative voice for many years. I'm not minimizing it. But for example, I serve with 219 Republicans in the Florida House. Only 2 of them are anti-Semites. So it is small, but it is growing. That is the threat, not what it is today, but what it could be if we don't do something about it. So do not say that I'm minimizing the problem. I don't want to end up where the Democrats are. And that's where we will end up if we don't do something about it. So I am not minimizing the problem. I just don't think it is the overwhelming majority. And that's why the Heritage Foundation's decision was such a big deal.
Shut up. You saw her face. She was like, what the fuck? Like, unbelievable. Even at this moment, they are in denial. Guys, please show me the video of the left wanting gas chambers for their opponents, saying they love Hitler. Show me the left doing the Nazi salutes, like Elon Musk did, and they all defended. Where are the left saying Jews are causing the California wildfires using space lasers? Please, someone, right? For sure. There's video of the left marching, chanting, Jews will not replace us. Surely there's that, right? I mean, it's amazing. We only have 2 anti-Semites. Unbelievable. Wait till he finds out that there's a whole lot more where that came from. And there's not only 2 there. And you got a whole lot more than anti-Semites there. You guys are filled to the brim with bigotry. You tub of lard. Like, these people, it's incredible to me. They look so silly crying about anti-Semitism when this party just peddles racism and bigotry on a daily effing basis. Ben Shapiro just a few months ago wanted Derek Chauvin to be pardoned. Why? Who the F knows? Purposely, because he knew his party liked that kind of racism against black people. Didn't you, Ben Shapiro? Like, and Ben Shapiro named Tucker and Nick Fuentes and all the different kinds of people he hates, anti-black, anti-brown. Ben Shapiro, you're anti-black, you're anti-brown, you're anti-Muslim. Like some of the disgusting things he said, he's has said. Like, and now they finally turned on him. His own party, the same people he helped create. He helped create the monsters, guys. Do not let them slip away from that. The anger, the hatred, the cruelty in these people's heart. Now he's crying about anti-Semitism. Truly a Shakespearean play. Oh, stop being... You guys, you know what you guys sound like? What's the word you guys like to say so much? Woke. You sound so woke. Stop crying. Uneffing believable.
Because they're one of the linchpins of the conservative movement. And for them to take the position that they did was so shocking. It showed the advance of this horrible ideology.
I think the other area where this has surfaced has been in the fallout, in the aftermath of the legacy of the death of Charlie Kirk. Instead of a kind of mass mourning, there has been widespread conspiracy mongering about Israel. I believe Benjamin Netanyahu had to answer to. Carlson is also a part of this. And yet we don't hear national leaders like, say, J.D. Vance, who has sat in Kirk's chair, refuting this.
He defended it.
Well, I think part of it is because the allegations are so insane. I mean, the notion that anyone other than this crazy guy killed Charlie Kirk is lunacy. But again, you make the point, there is this small, growing, loud, and often young part of the MAGA movement that has decided to adopt this. Now, I reject that they're part of MAGA because so many of the things, for example, Tucker Carlson's doing, he's disagreeing with everything President Trump is doing these days, whether it's Venezuela or Russia or China. He's saying President Trump is wrong on everything. But they are becoming louder. And if we want to end up like the Democrats, we won't say anything. That's why I've leaned into the fight, and I'm going to continue to do it.
What do you make of the youth that have embraced this? When you heard Ben Shapiro talking about this online movement called the Groypers, these are people who are also showing up at Turning Point USA events. They are, in fact, one of them posed a question to the president. So they're very much part of, when you say it's small, but it's in the pipeline.
Yeah, no, and so I'll tell you why. First, they're impressionable. Second, much of the content that has been pushed on them through vehicles like TikTok, which is controlled by a foreign country, has made them anti-Semitic. I mean, we have seen that in terms of the content and the algorithms that are out there. And then when widely respected conservative thought leaders like Tucker Carlson go insane, because that's what he has become, people start to believe it. And that's why it's incumbent on people like me and my colleagues to stand up and speak out about it. This is a real problem. And the problem will get worse if we don't stand up and fight back.
Should the White House say something?
Well, look, the president says things all the time. I mean, American Jews have never had a greater friend than the president. And he says things all the time. And where he stands on these issues.
I only raise it because he's actually dying.
These morons, this guy's evidence of anti-Semitism on the left is literally protesting the U.S. and the Israeli government, not the Jewish people. And what you're protesting is the Israeli government slaughtering effing children in Gaza. Like, this is their evidence. But all of this evidence of clear anti-Semitism on the right is just, oh, is this a small fraction? It's only 2 people, Poppy. Only 2 poppies. Come on. Oh, really, Tucker Carlson? Candace Owens? Nick Fuentes? I would say if you combine their audiences amongst the other little minions that leech off of them, their audiences are quite effing large with all age ranges. Think about it. They thought, people like Randy Fine and the Republican Party, they thought they could be so selective on their bigotry that they could hold the leash on that dog. But that dog has broken loose and is hungry for more than what they've been fed all this entire time. I mean, hey, you guys built an alligator surrounded prison to feed Hispanics of just a couple months ago. Both legal and illegal Laura Loomer, a Jewish woman, right, wants Hispanics fed to those alligators. So what I'll say is, doggies, have at them. F these people.
With Fuentes, right? So it's not a random question. It's very specific because this name has come up before.
Yeah, sure. And look, when that happened, the president didn't know who he was and who he was eating with. Frankly, back at that time, I'll tell you, I work on this issue every day, and I'd never heard of Nick Fuentes. I unfortunately have now, and so this is a guy whose profile has exploded as he's embraced this hatred of Jews and American values.
I have to ask one question.
She said Trump dined with Nick Fuentes. And he said, well, no, I didn't even know who Nick Fuentes was. So Trump couldn't possibly know who he was. He was a president. You think anyone could get near him, let alone eat with him, without Trump knowing exactly who they are? It's comments like that because they're such effing cowards. They just can't push back and tell the truth because they're so effing power hungry. And they do not want to push those bigots away. Unbelievable.
Criticism that I hear from Democrats, which goes something like this. You know, someone like you who has made comments that have been considered anti-Muslim, Islamophobic, against LGBTQ communities, they will say bigotry begets bigotry. And that once you open the door to a certain kind of comment and rhetoric, others come in, like anti-Semitism. What's your response to that?
Well, I reject the premise of the question. I don't make comments that are anti-anyone. I make comments that are factual. And so, for example, on the Islamophobia comment, I've made statements which are true, that it is rational to fear Islam, given the number of terrorist attacks that have happened. That's not racist rhetoric. Those are just factual statements. And the fact that I've said in the past that children should not have surgeries that mutilate their bodies does not mean that I'm LGBT negative. I mean, so I make statements of fact, and I think it's important that I call out evil wherever I happen to see it.
What we hear in the response from someone like Tucker Carlson, and actually I can play that for you.
Guys, he said he only talks facts. He called Ilhan Omar a terrorist. Literally a terrorist. Where's the fact in that? No. I'm not racist. I'm just being honest. This idiot earlier, how can I forget that? Said TikTok made these Republicans anti-Semitic. I mean, just amazing. Anything to point the finger than to point the finger at themselves. Your party was anti-Semitic a long time ago, you effing idiot. Nope. It has nothing to do with racism and bigotry we have displayed to literally every single group that isn't white. Nope, nothing to do with that. We didn't create Frankenstein. And again, right-wing extremism has caused more terrorist attacks in this country than Islamic terrorism. I don't know what the F he's talking about. This was DOJ's own stat that Trump took down out of the site earlier this year.
You as well, it has a similar kind of logic to it. Here's that one.
What happens after Trump goes? And that's what this is about. That's why they're vesting the energy in this. That's what the rage is about, because they don't want to lose control of foreign policy. I just can't say that enough. It's about foreign policy.
I hear this all the time. He says that his issue with Israel is a factual foreign policy valid argument to make. Again, I'm raising this because of what you have just said, right? Does that logic work here?
No, and let me address the comment. The reason I speak out is not because of Israel. It's because about the safety to American Jews, not Israeli Jews, American Jews who are facing anti-Semitic attacks in their own country. So the notion that being worried about anti-Semitism only means you're worried about Israel, it's not only a lie, it feeds the underlying issue of anti-Semitism. The night after Mamdani was elected, people woke up to swastikas being spray painted on Jewish institutions in New York. If I'm upset about that, that has nothing to do with Israel. That has to do with what happens to Jewish Americans right here in our own country.
What do you plan to do now? I mean, how do you have this conversation going forward?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about it here. We ended our relationship with Heritage. We're working with many Jewish groups that have ended their relationship with Heritage. And really I have to do is talk to my colleagues, because the biggest issue we have with Tucker Carlson is people remember the Tucker Carlson of 5 years ago. That's what makes him so dangerous. He's trading on
the noble one
as the leader of conservative thought when he was just a conservative guy, but not a lunatic. And so it's incumbent on me to make people understand he's not the same guy that you remember from being on Fox News. And I'll continue to speak out to my colleagues, to conservative groups, and to say to American Jews, you have a warrior that's going to fight for you to make sure you're safe in your own country.
Okay, that's Congressman Randy Fine of Florida.
Incredible. First off, Tucker Carlson was never a noble, normal. He was always a lunatic. He said immigrants were dirtying the nation. Like, this guy has said some disgusting things that your party perpetuated, including you. Like, you sad sack of potatoes. And guys, and I have that line, we only have 2 anti-Semitics. I'm going to put that as the title. Republican finally admits that there's racism in this party. Of uneffing believable. This guy is so they can't control the guy. It's racist Tourette's. I'm still working on my medical discovery on that. Republicans have racist Tourette's. They cannot control it. To say that because Mom Donnie won, what? In celebration, a bunch of Muslims painted swastikas? Is that what you're saying? Or a bunch of people painted swastikas? I don't know what he's trying to say by that. This doesn't make any sense. Again, we'll never, ever point the finger at their own party. Is it possible that those people are coming from your own party? I mean, where did these people, somebody help me, where did these idiots think this would naturally go? Did these people really think we could hate black people, brown people, this religion, that religion, and that they would never come and never really focus too much on you? Because these people always knew. Right, that conservatives, you know, that base, that disgusting racist base they have over there, you know, they always were bigoted and conspiratorial about Jews. What did they think, that if you kept attacking this race and that culture, that they wouldn't come for you? Like, why the F would you think that they would be okay with the Jewish people? Like, he knows this stuff as he sits there with his little hat. It's just like the Christian conservatives with their little cross as they spew cruelty and lies and bullshit and hatred. If this guy was smart, like Ben Shapiro, he would run as fast as he could and never look back from this party. In fact, if they really cared, they would encourage Jewish people to not vote for Republicans because, I don't know, let me think. They want you in effing gas chambers? And they love Hitler. These are the most prominent figures saying things like this. But come on, what are we talking about here? These are conservatives. They're the most spineless people on the planet, guys. Weak, pathetic group of people. But I'm going to leave it there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Please leave a like, subscribe. I'm actually also, I want to say, I'm trying to release more videos per day, so look for those. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Please leave a like, subscribe. Really helps the channel. Really helps spread the message out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.